Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Khushboo, and today we are going to talk about the secret tips or like my tricks that I use for my interviews. So recently I have given a lot of interviews, two of Google interviews, two of Microsoft interviews, D-Shaw interview, and like more than five of mock interviews in general. So there are some tips and tricks that I have learned in the way. I have also recently accepted the offer from Microsoft. So these are like foolproof tricks that have always worked for me, and I feel these make a lot of difference. If you see a lot of other tips and articles on other YouTube channels, you will find all the basic stuff that is needed, all the basic advices that are needed and that are really important. For example, let me see my notes too, because preparation is very important in everything, for giving interview and for giving tips for the interview. So basic things like be confident, wear formals, be on time, don't stress out, and revise the basics and the time complexities and the data structures and everything very well. But these are some basic things. Let me tell you some other things that I have noticed I use intuitively, I can say, or like very consciously. First thing I have noticed in any interview, your communication skills make a huge lot of difference. Okay, your confidence is kind of directly proportional to how much skills you have, because it shows the other person कि तुम्हें कितना कॉन्फिडेंस अपनी खुद की स्किल्स पे, तुम्हें कितना लगता है कि तुम वर्थ इट हो इस कंपनी के लिए और नॉट, यू नो व्हाट आई मीन. सो दैट्स व्हाई लाइक इट इज रियली इंपॉर्टेंट टू हैव अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस. The first tip that is really important is you should know your language by heart. What I mean is, if you code in C++, or if you code in Python, or if you code in Java, know the ins and out of that language like very well. मतलब कि वो तो एक ऐसी चीज होनी चाहिए जिसका तुम लाइक जिसके बारे में तुमसे कुछ भी पूछ लो, उसमें तुमसे कोई जीतना नहीं चाहिए. ओके, सो इट्स द थिंग. So I code in Python personally for all my interviews. So what I do for Python preparation is, I have like seen a lot of specifically Python interview videos on YouTube. So how it helps me is, it really helps me to get deep into the language things, you know. कि अगर स्पेसिफिकली सिर्फ लैंग्वेज की बात करें तो उस के अंदर जितनी भी चीज़ें हो सकती हैं, उसके बारे में जो चीज़ें एक बंदे को पता होनी चाहिए ना, जो उस लैंग्वेज में वर्क कर रहा है, वो सब मुझे आनी चाहिए, मुझे उसके इन्स एंड आउट पता होने चाहिए. नाउ what you can do is like, this is my thing what I do. Most of the time your interviewer matlab jaruri nahi hai he knows your language very well. Okay, so maybe he codes in C++, maybe he codes in C sharp, or maybe he is a Pythonist. Okay, so sometimes they do tell you ki, like in my Microsoft second interview, he told me that he is not very well versed with Python. So I was like, okay, so what I use that information in my interview, how I made sure that whenever I'm like whatever I am doing in Python, I'm really explaining him well. So even when I was, for example, I was writing a range loop. Okay, so I told him that this is a C++ style loop, but in Python we can also use enumerate. But this is why I'm using a range here. When we took a variable, I told him that we don't need to initialize it because it is done internally. And when I was initializing my list from zero, why I'm initializing a list, or like another thing that I told him was, I was copying a list. So I told him that whether I'm doing it by reference or by values or stuff like that. So because they don't like, if he is not very well versed with Python, he will not know ki whatever things you are doing smartly or not, like whether the function you are using is going to handle certain errors and not. So you need to tell them that you are doing this very intentionally, everything. And it will not make any difference if you don't tell these things to him. But if you do, it will really make a difference, because it will tell him that okay, whatever, even a single word that you are writing it very thoughtfully, and you know what you are doing, you know each and everything about it. So it really makes a huge difference. Okay, so if you are watching this video till now, you should like this video and comment down below what is the thing you're learning and what is the next topic you want me to cover. And yeah, let's continue. Maybe you don't know that your interviewer is good in Python or not, he knows your language or not. So sometimes they do tell you ki okay yaar, I'm not that very well versed with it or stuff. Or other thing you can do is you can stalk your interviewer. Like don't get me wrong, but if you know about it, like in most of the interviews you will never know ki who is going to take your interview. But in Microsoft interview I knew like they gave the name of that person, so I got to on LinkedIn and I stalked them and see their like projects and stuff, and then I got to their GitHub and I was like literally stalking their whole code so that I can understand their style, what do they like, and what languages they work in more, so that I can understand ki how much they are well versed with a certain language, well versed with a certain technology, so that I can get deep into their interest, which is going to make me interesting in front of them. So that's the thing. Like, I don't know if other people do this, but I have done this in like every interviews, and it worked well for me because it is helping you make a good impression and actually conveying the right amount of knowledge that you have. Maybe you have more knowledge, but you are not able to convey that properly. Okay. The second thing, whenever your interviewer says something like, do you think it's right, or like, uh do you think it will work this way, or do you need to do this way, or like, Khushbu, do you think it's correct, or like, do you mind like thinking about it a little bit, matlab anything he will say that is like a little bit controversial, stop there, think about it, and think about it out loud. Like, you don't need to ऐसा लोस्ट जोन में, ऐसा लोस्ट होने की एकदम जरूरत नहीं है कि ओह क्या करूं, क्या गलत हो गया, शिट. No, just calmly see your code, and whatever example that you were taking, just dry run that example and say, okay, I think this works, I think this works for this example, do you think it doesn't work? And they will definitely help you out. They will either say, okay, you can take certain other examples. If they don't say anything, you can just say ki, okay, let me take any extreme example. Say, take any extreme example, like all zeros in the list, zero element in the list, or stuff like that, extreme examples. And then try to figure out that, are you writing something weird, are you writing something wrong, are you making any syntax error or something like that. Okay. So always take their hints, never ignore their hints. It's very important. Other thing I have, like, my friends have done this mistake, because everyone tells them that you need to ask clarifying questions, which is very intuitive to me. Matlab, like, I don't think there is even one interview in which I have not asked any clarifying questions, because whenever the interview tells me a question, I am so confused about it most of the times, that I need to ask at least 2 3 questions before I can proceed and think about it. So I need that. But some people, if you are like, if you are able to understand the question clearly, then what you can do, instead of making up some clarifying questions because your senior told you to ask you them some questions, just tell them that, just explain your interview, your question, the question you understand, and say ki, this is what I understand, do you think it's correct? And yeah, it is perfect. You don't need to make up any clarifying questions. It is a very bad, like, it really gives a very bad impact. And when you make up questions now which don't make any sense, it tells, it will give you very bad impact in general. I will not like elaborate it anymore. But yeah, please don't do this. Don't do this intentionally. If you are very nervous and you do this, it's okay, but try to not do this. How you can like be better at these things, do a lot of mock interviews. So there are some websites that helps you give your mock interviews. I forgot about it. Interview bit also helps you to get mock interviews, as far as I remember. I will tell you later in any other video, but yeah. So give a lot of mock interviews. You can give it to your friend, and if you don't feel comfortable with anyone known, then you can do it with unknown people on different websites like interview bit. Now, after you have completely like wrote the code completely, before asking him anything, just tell him that, okay, I'm going to dry run my question on any of the 1 2 examples that you discussed earlier, and dry run in front of him. And like, speak out loud when you are dry running it. Okay, okay, now we are getting into the loop, now this is the loop work, the value change and stuff like that. Don't dry run in your mind or any notebook that you have, because it is a virtual interview, he will not know what you are doing, and it's very difficult to so I will recommend it very well. And another thing is, always after dry running your question, Take extreme examples, like if you are taking a list, what if the list is empty, what is the list is infinite, or have you taken care of the all the limits that he gave you, if he gave any. So stuff like that, always take care of these things, and ask him what do he feel about the code, he she sorry, I'm getting very gender specific here, but by he I always mean the interviewer. So I like ask him how do he matlab, how he feels about the interview, and like do he have any other questions for me. Whenever you are discussing about time complexities, whenever you are discussing about time complexities, I have noticed this thing, never ever, if you are very confused, never say anything wrong. Take some time, think about it. You can also like think about it loud, it's completely fine that okay, the one loop is working and then there is a loop inside and we are doing this, we are doing that, so it must be n square. But never like because you have to do it quick, you don't need to say anything in hurry and which is wrong. because because like wrong time complexity batana na, it's the worst thing you can do in your interview, because it really gives a very bad impact. For example, think about it, कि मैं किसी को बता रही हूँ कि okay, we have to make this list and stuff, and वो कहता है कि okay how much time it will take to iterate the list, and you just, because you were very stressed out, you say Logan. So it is worst thing, because he will think कि इसे जब इतनी basic चीज नहीं आती, तो how is she going to deal with anything, like time complexity is the most basic thing now, you should know about it. So if you are confused, take time, think about it, and then tell, like don't tell wrong complexities. Yeah, so moving forward, let me quickly tell you that I have recently launched my live show Tech Buds with Khushboo on an academy. I have a show every Monday afternoon at 9 p.m. It is for everyone who is a tech enthusiast. If you want to crack top companies, or want to understand the hiring process, or want to see the architecture breakdown, interview stuff, code chef profile, and how to join big tech companies, everything is there. So let me tell you how it works. So you can get subscription for careers as a software developer, and then you will get access to all the shows from all the big creators, like tech talks and top interview questions, HR talks and tech bites, and fascinating world of UI, cloud computing, everything. These are all sort of people who are working in Google, Amazon, Microsoft, who are 7-star coders and industry experts. If you go to any profile, you can see whatever it is about it shows and all the content. So you can subscribe to it with 83 rupees per month, and if you use my code Khushboo100, you can get 10% off. So there are a lot of things that are planned for you about development, then extracurriculars, then interviewing HR with Anuj Bhaiya, and then weekend projects, and then reaching the stars, and then my show on Monday, and top interview questions by Love, and then cloud computing, and then blockchain, crypto, everything is there. So the main benefit of joining it is you get to talk about HR, how they recruit in company, and you can learn about different technologies, data analytics, blockchain, and interview skills, and give mock interviews and stuff. And you can get your college projects reviewed, you can get your resume reviewed. So yeah, so don't forget to check this out. This is my profile, and if you want to use my code, you can, to get a 10% off. And yeah, let's get back to the video. And the another thing is, after completing your question, always ask him if you have any other questions for you, if he want to discuss any other thing and stuff. And the next point is that whenever an interviewer says you ki, do you have any question for me, never lose that opportunity. I have seen that it contains some kind of like weightage, or stuff like that, and a good question can really change the impact you had on the interviewer. So prepare your question and think about it, that what is the thing you want to ask. Maybe with all the experience that you had in past 40 minutes or 30 minutes with that interviewer, it should tell you that what are the questions he would answer for you. Because if someone is a little bit more open, you can ask him what is the best thing about this company or stuff like that. But if he is a little bit more like, you think, very senior and stuff like that, then you would like to be a little bit more of a specific and technology side, where you can ask stuff like what are the skills that you are looking for in an intern, or what was your best experience with the past intern, or like what are the things you expect from a intern, or like how different team works in Microsoft, how you take up new interns in Microsoft, and stuff like that. Okay, so you need to focus on the personality of that person, and then you can be a master. So if you see that whatever I told you today, it's all revolving about communication, and like how you need to read the person and then communicate accordingly, so that you can show the best out of you. A lot of people must have a lot more knowledge than me, but their interview didn't went well because of the certain stuff, because they didn't focus on the right things, because they were not able to communicate well. And this is where I want you to be confident enough so that you can ace every interview you are giving. Comment down below if you want me to make more videos like this and want me to share my tips and experiences with all of you. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to see you all super soon next time. Emotional to like wait a minute. Yeah, so मुझे लगा था कैमरा ऑफ हो गया, sorry. So yeah, your confidence is kind of direct